everything behind. So my COVID-19 test that I was going to have today has gotten pushed forward to September the 28th. And my surgery now is scheduled for October the 1st. And I'll keep you guys apprised as we go along. The other thing I'd like to announce is that we did move the chamber from the little building there on Birch Avenue to downtown Main Street for a couple of reasons. We could not be open because we couldn't social distance in that small office. Another reason is that we wanted to expand and be able to sell product out of the chamber office, which we are now able to do. And thirdly, when people come to town, where are the three places they go? Lazy Dog, Denny's Pizza, and Fraser's. So the foot traffic is a lot stronger there on First Street than it was over on Birch. So we're looking forward to the change. We're hoping to have an open house maybe sometime late October, beginning of November. And I think that's pretty much it for me. We'll go through the counselors. Counselor Chappelle, and welcome. I didn't get to see you, but welcome.
Thank you.
Can't hear you. Cannot hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Barely.
I thank you very much for acknowledging me. I don't have anything to say right now, so I'll just go ahead and move on.
Okay. Counselor Pinkston.
Yes, I have a few things to say. One is that we are moving. We have sold our house. Two, the Friends update. I want to bring you up to date with the Friends. We have a storefront downtown now and hopefully be moved in by October 1st or thereafter. Concerned about the the 5th Street sign, which is fading away quickly. I think we need to replace the 5th Street sign. I'm also concerned about the tacky central foliage out here across the street that's growing up and down our street here. I think we should at least mow it or do something with it every year. I was asked also that we at the Friends right now and the Bear Cupboard meeting at Jefferson School, there are no paper towels and or hand soap in the restrooms there for use. Okay, and other than that, I have nothing to say. Did you hear me all right?
Yes, thank you. Counselor Neiswanger.
I just want to say it's really good to be back into the council chambers. And I also want to say how impressed I am with the school district and how they've pulled this together. Everything is different for these kids, and the teachers and the staff have really done a great job to make the kids feel good. So I just want to say good job, Coquille School District.
Thank you. Counselor Rao?
I just want to echo Counselor Neiswanger's sentiments. It's great to be back and see some folks in person. It seems like we're having some problems with the audio, so the folks out there on Facebook Live, I hope they're patient with us, and if they can't hear this meeting, well, I'm sure our staff will work to get it posted as soon as they can.
I have it being recorded right now, yes.
Beautiful. And, you know, and hats off to our school district employees, like Counselor Neiswanger said, and also to the families and parents of the students for being patient with our people. We're trying to navigate the state mandates as best as possible at the school district, and our parents have been outstanding with their patience. So that's all I have to say, Madam Mayor. I hope you feel better soon. Thank
you. And Counselor, I just want to take a moment to thank you for sitting on that school board. We appreciate your service. Counselor Wirebaugh?
Yeah, I just wanted to give my thanks to our local fire department for all their combined efforts to help with the fires in our surrounding area and keeping us updated with any way that we can support our neighboring cities, their needed necessities. And also, I can see the lines on Central Main Street here, which is very wonderful. So I drove down that road and was like, holy cow, I know which lane I'm in. So another hats off to our planning department and city manager for that. And that's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Wirebaugh. We'll move on to the staff reports. Chief Sanders.
Good evening, everyone. I'm also glad that we're back in the council chambers. Good to see everyone here. You have my report. I don't have anything to add, other than now, we have our K-9 Tahoe is starting to come together. It looks good from the outside anyway. Inside still needs a lot of work. But, other than that, any questions?
Do you guys have a dog yet for the K-9?
No.
No?
Gotta have the truck and a kennel and all the other things
Yeah.
before we get a dog.
Any, no prospects?
There is a prospect up in Eugene. It's a pup, but it'll need another 4 months or so. So, we are talking to that trainer up there, who is also a K-9 officer. So, might work out for us. We'll see.
Chief, I just wanted to
Chief,
add,
well,
oh, sorry, Kathy, you go.
I'm sorry, couldn't hear you, Matt. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say you go and I'll just go after you. You go ahead.
Oh, okay. Chief, I was just asking, I know there's 2 ways that we can obtain our dog. They'll be fully trained, or do we send it to school with an officer of our selection? Which way does the dog come to us?
That'll be both. The dog comes trained from a handler and trainer, but then the officer and dog have to train together and then be state certified. So it's a two process. The dog will be trained to start with, yes, and then the officer or the handler and the dog will train together and then certified together.
Okay, thank you. Counselor Rao?
Chief, I just wanted to echo your kudos to Officer Rowe. He says.
Can't hear you.
Oh, I was just saying I wanted to echo the chief's kudos from his report to Officer Rowe. His initiative there helped apprehend a bad guy, so that was very nice.
Yeah, try to mention that. It's pretty cool that that happened. Sort of just like Officer Johnson last month when the escapee from the jail. He was a big part of catching that guy. So yeah, I'd like to mention that when they do good.
Counselors, do you have any other questions for Chief Sanders? Okay, we'll move on to Chief Theron. I want to take a moment to thank you for your service and your crew. And were any of our 50 acres that we have there off of North Bank Road, was it all okay, or did any of it burn?
Everything was in the abandoned fire district. Bannon called us early Tuesday morning for assistance, and Coos Forest was already out there. We did sit on a couple of houses that were in our district. It was just the other side of our district, so we just kind of protected the houses around, and we were pretty fortunate to not have any homes burn, both in our district and Bannon Fire District. So.
Did the city lose any of our 50 acres up there, Mr. Ball? Do you know?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, thank you. That's excellent. Counselors, any questions? Okay,
What's the
hearing.
condition of the RAV1? Yeah, 1 second. What was
Sure.
the condition of that RAV1?
Is that in my report?
Yeah,
Counselor?
it's about the faulty slip and tank.
Oh, yes. So the pump on the tank does not work at this point. I'm working with the rural fire district to order a new tank and pump for that truck. The truck runs fine. It's just the tank that's in the back is not operable at this point. So, just trying to make us 100% operable to where we can respond to these land fires.
What's the status with your guys' tender still?
Tender is up and running. It still has its issues, but at this point, we just need to replace one of them at the very least.
Right.
So.
Chief Theron, I'm sorry, we can't hear you. So I don't mean to interrupt, but I can't hear.
Oh, no, you go, Kathy. I'm sorry about that. I've just got to be right on top of this microphone. So I'll let you go and then I'll ask the chief my question.
Okay, I was just wondering, is our ladder truck operational?
So, yes, our ladder truck is operational. With the fire down on First Street there, I called for mutual aid from Bannon Fire Department. They immediately told me that they were not operational with the ladder, their ladder, and so then I called for Coos Bay Fire Department. Issue there was why we didn't just go grab our ladder truck was, staffing at that point. We had about 10 firefighters on scene and no reserve back at the station to go grab the ladder truck.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Truck. It didn't wind up causing any issues, with being able to put out the fire. It would have been helpful to have a ladder truck there to get up on the roof and do a little bit of investigation up there, but, overall, it didn't affect any firefighting efforts.
Okay, I had just had citizens ask why we weren't using our ladder truck, and I wasn't sure. Thank you.
Staffing was the issue.
Councilor
Chief,
Rao?
do we have has there been an official, report put out yet from the state fire marshal on the fire? I don't know what the process is, you've got to forgive me, on Sherman, on the Sherman building.
I have not received the report back from the state fire marshal's office. It was determined to be cooking / items too close to the burner on that one.
Now, and that building obviously did not have a fire escape for the upstairs people to go down, correct?
Correct.
Do you think that for apartment buildings in city limits, do you think we should amend our municipal code to require fire escapes for buildings?
So external fire escapes, you cannot put them on buildings anymore. You can do something out the window or something like that, like an emergency ladder for an apartment. The resident could potentially purchase those, but to put a fire escape on the outside of the building, there's nothing we can do
Could we
about
require,
that.
I mean, this may be more of a question for James. The first question is, should we? And then the other question for James would be, could we require the landlords to provide those kind of ladders out the window to their tenants? So my question to you is, should? And then my question is, if you think it's advisable, could, for the attorney?
It would definitely make the residents safer.
Well, I think that's part of the goal of municipal government. So that seems to answer the question for what I need. Now, James, do you know if we legally could require that on our landlords through our municipal code?
Okay, you can't surprise me with fire code questions.
Okay, I'll let you research it.
But I'm more than happy to look into that. And then that would become a matter of, amending the city fire code, which is adopted through ordinance and going through that process. But it's certainly something we can look into.
Okay, and this is why I'm asking you is because I've heard lots of rumors, and rumors are like and small town, life is like peanut butter and jelly. They go together. So let's clarify the rumors on this. Is it true that these apartments didn't have running water to their apartments directly, that there weren't sinks in them?
I do not know that information.
Okay.
I can
We did
answer
have
that.
to call for, excuse me, Mayor. We did have to call for Public Works to come down and turn off the water to the building.
Okay, and I asked this because several tenants previous and as of the fire claimed that they didn't have running sinks or water to their apartments. And that's
Yes.
against our municipal code.
Councilor
So
Rao,
in response,
I'm sorry. Councilor
no,
Rao, there. It's okay, I still can't hear you, so I don't mean to interrupt by any means. My question is, there were 4 apartments up there and they were sharing a bathroom. So to my knowledge, I got a tour of the building, and I think, Sam, you did too, where there was no running water to those individual apartments.
Okay, well, thank you for answering that question, Madam Mayor. That would be and this isn't picking on anybody, but that'd be a violation of our municipal code. The other question is, I heard there was an apartment on the ground floor with a tenant in it. Do you know anything about that?
I believe that was correct.
That's a violation of our municipal code. What's interesting is, of course, this was a well-funded urban renewal project, which, of course, our investment in that was burned up in the fire, which arguably could be implied could have been avoided if the municipal code would have been followed. And so in the future, and I mentioned this to Council President Niswonger before the meeting, because she's the Urban Renewal Committee Chair, I think it's very clear we need to be inspecting these buildings to make sure they're zoned compliant with their zoning and meeting our safety guidelines before we start dumping urban renewal money in the tens of thousands into these kind of projects. That doesn't affect you. I just think it might make sense to actually make sure, A, they're safe, and B, they're compliant with our municipal code.
I would
That's
agree
one
with
thing.
that, Council. I think that's
You go, Ken,
very
I'm
good.
finished.
No, I was just saying, I agree 100% with you, Councilor Rao, on that. I think we should, and I think we've discussed that before, but we just haven't followed through on it. So Chief Barron, may I ask one more question?
Yes.
So on the Nosler building, they have an outside fire escape. Would that still qualify because it would be grandfathered in, or that
Correct.
building?
It is, yes, it's grandfathered in, because it's on the building, it has to be maintained. It could potentially be taken off the building, but they'd have to go through state building codes to be able to remove it from the building. But yes, they have to keep it up to fire code.
Okay, so they wouldn't have to do anything more than that fire escape?
With the Nosler building or with the other,
Yeah,
with the one that actually caught fire?
No, the Nosler building. So, because it's up for sale now, and I was just wondering before it closed escrow, if, we could make them bring it up to code before it closed
Yes,
escrow.
that is the intent, is to get that building brought up to code. I have not had a chance to talk with, I don't even know that we have somebody buying it. I'm not sure on that, but if we do, I would like to be pointed in their direction to be able to make contact with them before they open that building to any businesses or residents.
Well, it did just sell to a property management company in California who has now listed it for sale again. And that's why I was wondering. And that's all I have to say. I was just asking. I can't hear who's talking.
That's because nobody was talking at the moment.
Oh, okay. Okay, anybody have any other questions for Chief Barron? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to the library report. Director Connor?
Director Connor was going to join us via Zoom, but I do not see her on the Zoom list.
Okay. Is there anything you, Mr. Ball, would like to add to her report or discuss?
No, I think it's pretty accurate. They are still delivering books out the windows of the library. They are still closed to the general public, but you can request libraries and or library books and return library books.
Okay, perfect.
Sam.
Sorry, can't hear you.
Oh, I said, I was asking Sam, because I was reading I read the report earlier and I didn't see anything in the report on if the Friends of the Library are going to do a trivia night in October like they normally do. My guess is probably not due to the COVID stuff, but maybe you would know.
The official answer is probably not.
I figured, but I thought I'd ask.
Since that group has not, they had been discussing it back in April, but they have not met since, and so I'm going to assume no.
Sam, can you tell me again, what is the governor's limit on meetings or functions? How many people can attend something now?
It depends on if you're inside or outside or having a protest.
Okay, inside.
So I believe it is. I believe it is 25 with making sure you can be socially distanced. You can have some events that go up to 50, and if you're outside, you can go up to 100, and if you're protesting, you can go up to 250.
Well, I saw a posting on Facebook where our roller skating has resumed. Do we have more than 50 people that ever attend that?
I'm sorry, I missed the question. I just got a text from Director Connor saying, yes, there is no trivia night.
Okay, no trivia. So I said, I just saw something posted on Facebook regarding our our roller skating night. Do we have more than 50 people that attend that?
We are limiting it at the door to 50 individuals, and you must stay with the party that you come with, and you must have masks on.
Okay,
If you are going to go just watch your children, they are still going to charge you to get in, which is unusual. It used, not the way it used to be, but you will be charged to come in because you are taking up the space of another individual that would normally be roller skating.
And so they are included in the 50 count.
They are included in the 50.
All right, perfect. Okay, any other questions?
Yes, Mayor, I have a question.
Yes, Ann.
Okay, about Director Connor's report. Maybe it's always been there, and this is maybe the first time I just noticed. I see that we do notary service and that we do notary acts. I'm curious, is the notary city notary? And if so, what kind of revenues are we generating from that?
You were really breaking up on that.
Yeah, I was going to say Ann was breaking up.
Okay. Let me see if I can get closer to my little microphone. Can you hear me? Is that
That's
better?
much better.
Is that better? Okay. So I noticed on Director Connor's report, we have a notary. I'm not sure if that is a new service or if that's one that's already existing. It says that we have done 16 notary acts. I'm thinking, is the notary, do they work for the city? Are they just a city employee? Are they generating revenue? Maybe you could just give me some information on that.
I do not have the answer to that, and I will get with Director Connor and find that answer for you.
I'm sorry, I thought she was there.
Sam, I can answer that, and I'm sure Director Connor can answer it in far more vivid detail, but we've had notary service at the library for a very long time. It's an in-house employee. There's no additional cost to the city. You can go down there and get your document notarized.
Yeah, she just texted me and said, I came back to the library to do notarize 16 signatures. We do not charge for notarizations.
Thank you, Councilor Rao. Okay, are there any other questions? We'll move on to the Finance Department. Rob Moody.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of council. I don't have a whole lot of detail to add to the report as submitted, but I would be happy to take any questions.
Mr. Moody, this is Councilor Matt Rao. There was a real nasty, sleazy article in the Coquille Sentinel a few weeks ago, an anonymous letter, claiming that there was a discrepancy of $200,000 in our timber sale revenue. I'm curious, have you run into anything of that in your work in the Finance Department or during the audit?
I have not noted anything with respect to any missing monies or any discrepancies between with regard to the timber sales.
Well, all right. Well, I appreciate that. And everything else in that nonsensical garbage was able to be refuted by a basic Google search that a fifth grader could do, but I guess the Sentinel just didn't have it in them. But I appreciate you clarifying that, and I really appreciate the job you're doing for us.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, Mr. Moody. This is Councilor Wirebaugh. I had a quick question, if you had any more detail on the support service director position. It says here that 2 of the 3 have some favorable qualities, and I was wondering if you can expand any more on that, or if you guys came to a better decision on who's going to be filling that position.
Thank you for your question, Councilor Wirebaugh. We actually interviewed those two folks, and we have since interviewed 2 additional candidates. And the first 2 candidates that I mentioned in my report have since been, I guess, eliminated from further consideration. There are 2 additional candidates that I believe the city manager has arranged to have come in and meet with department heads next week. So we're moving forward as though they're finalists for the position.
Great. Thank you very much, Mr. Moody.
Welcome.
Mr. Moody, this is Councilor Chappelle. Where are we on reinstituting Springbrook right now?
Again, thank you for the question. We currently are using Springbrook for our financial information system. We are in the process of bringing the payroll processing back in-house from ADP and using Springbrook. That's the first step in re-implementing, or I guess that's not really the word. The plan currently is to upgrade Springbrook from its current version to the most current version out there, or the most current version available. And that'll be a process. We're going to do the payroll thing first. They're allowing us to apply that investment in the training and reimplementation of payroll towards the upgrade cost at a later date.
Thank you.
Sorry, I'm getting a lot of feedback. I hope you're not all getting that feedback too.
Yeah, we are. I'm getting some of it. Do any of the other counselors have any questions for Mr. Moody? I'm sorry, who's talking? Somebody? No, that's just the feedback that it's echoing. Okay, so we'll move along then to the city manager's report.
We have a report by, Haley, Director Sheldon.
Oh, I'm sorry. I always forget Haley, and I can't see her on the screen, so I forget. Sorry, Haley.
Can you hear me?
I can't hear you. You'll have to talk into the mic.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, Thank you.
Absolutely. I don't have anything to add to my written report, so let me know if you have any questions.
I didn't get a copy either.
Yeah, I don't have a copy.
It might be behind that because it was at the end of my. I got it, my packet.
No, I don't have a copy of it.
Kathy, will be in your email.
You should have it because it was in time.
Oh, is that what Jennifer's passing out now?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay.
Thank you.
So I'll read it later this week. I'll stop by and pick it up, or you're going to email it to me, right? Counselors, do you have any questions?
I just first wanted to compliment Haley on moving her office down to the public workshop. That's something when we bought the shop that I thought was going to happen, and it's taken several years, but it happened. So I think that's great. I was also going to ask, and forgive me because some of us, I haven't had a chance to read the report yet, so it may be addressed.
I'm sorry about that. I thought it was in your packet.
Oh,
I don't know. Okay.
It's not a big deal.
Okay.
But, so I don't want to seem like I didn't do my homework, but I just didn't get a chance to read it yet because I didn't have it in front of me. But I was going to say, so if this is addressed in your report, forgive me. Where are we at on that Sanford Heights Park grant? I think you mentioned it last month, and didn't we have like a $70,000 grant, and we have some tennis court money I think we can match that with? I can't recall though.
We're, at this time, the Sanford Heights project is sort of on the back burner. The deadline for that project completion is winter of 2022. We do have a grant from the Oregon State Parks and Recreation. It's the same body that gave us the grant for the Riverwalk for a sort of nebulous project out at Sanford Heights that could involve a tennis court. The project proposal that was submitted was actually a pickleball court. That grant, though, is a matching grant where the grant is, it's somewhere between $60,000 and $75,000 from the Oregon State Parks, but every dollar that we spend in the grant money, we also have to match. There had been a lot of rumors about a tennis court going in there. We do have earmarked funds for a tennis court. And we'll have a lot more discussions about this as we get closer, but I think we might need to think about where that tennis court is gonna go, and whether it really belongs at Sanford Heights. And if that's the case, then yes, we could use that money as a match. And those are all discussions we should definitely have.
Oh, no, that's that's a very thorough answer. I appreciate it. So we're not at risk, I mean, the grant isn't set to expire or anything? Okay,
No,
beautiful.
Yeah, we're fine.
Okay, perfect. And then one other question on grants again. I think Sam mentioned this, or you did, I can't remember, but I know it was the good news on, we've got a Riverwalk grant. Where are we at on deadlines for that? I just don't, I know everybody here's got a lot of jobs they're doing, and I was just curious where we're at on deadlines to make sure we don't lose that money.
So I think we probably got lucky. I have one more report that I need to submit to Oregon State Parks and Rec, but they sent us a letter last week saying that they were tentatively agreeing to our request for an extension. So we requested an extension far beyond what they usually allow of another year, so that we have to complete the project by winter of 2021, so this time next year. The money for I don't know what you call it, an endowment, the money that was gifted to us that we'll receive on an annual basis for the Riverwalk, will be released in July of 2021. So we can use that money to match the Oregon State Parks and Recreation grant, assuming that they give us that extension. And so we'll know if they give us that extension here as soon as I submit the final report, is really what's up.
Well, let's cross our fingers and hope for the best. Thank you for the answers.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question regarding phase 2 of the Riverwalk?
Sorry, Counselor, can you talk in the mic?
I am. This is me talking in the mic. Can you hear me now?
Okay, thank you. All right, now's
All right,
perfect.
thank you. What is phase 2 of the Riverwalk, and can we see it soon?
So phase 2 is a bit nebulous. Kevin Urban applied for and received a grant for phase 2 of the Riverwalk. That grant was set to expire right about now, September of 2020. So that's the grant we're trying to get an extension for. It's a matching grant wherein the Oregon State Parks and Recreation gives us $60,000 and we can match up to that $60,000. Every dollar we spend, we match. There was a lot of pre-engineering work that went into preparing those grant documents. The grant doesn't cover that. So a lot of what we did around phase 2 is not part of what the actual phase 2 would be. Now you ask, what is phase 2? Well, the answer is no one really knows. It includes everything from the pathway that was built last year, the extension of the pathway that goes from like the picnic table all the way around the GP site, and that's part of it. But there was also talk of lighting, irrigation for the field, restrooms, water fountains, dog water fountains, and so what my plan was is if they don't give us an extension, we're cutting it loose. We're cutting our losses. We're going to match the dollars that we spent and get that back. If we do get the extension, then we'll take all of the money that we got from the endowment and we'll match that and we will come up with a proposal for what we're going to put in there. Whether it is irrigating the lawn that's out there to make it look nice, lighting, fountains, you name it. We'll have to have those discussions as well with the Riverwalk Committee, because the Riverwalk Committee they took the money from their nonprofit and they handed it over to the city as match for that grant. So that money is still there. So the Riverwalk Committee will be very much a part of that discussion. They have to be. They have an agreement with the city that will finish phase 2. We don't really even know what phase 2 is.
Well, thank you for nebulous, but in regards to the Riverwalk Committee
Mm-hmm.
and a Parks and Recreation Committee and a Public Works Committee, who's putting this all together? And is Public Works, Parks, and Riverwalk, are they working together, or is it just something that,
At this time, they're doing nothing because we have not moved any of those pieces forward. There are lots of pieces sitting on this board, and it just hasn't been, that is not, cleanup has been the priority. So hopefully we have this extension, we have a whole nother year, and we're able to convene those groups.
okay,
Answer,
so you
yeah.
got basically a year to plan it, put it together?
I don't see anyone else.
Well, this is the thing, you know, if we have committees and Public Works and all those people working together, probably be a better idea than, you know.
Yeah.
But, I mean, we really haven't had any committees meeting since April. And
Oh,
so
right,
it's hard to pull members of committees in that aren't wanting to meet.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions?
Madam Mayor, this is James. Can I make a comment?
Yes, of course, please, thank you.
I just wanted to let the council know, Haley has been taking on a lot of different items. She has a pretty broad jurisdiction in her role. A lot of them are things that maybe haven't received a detailed focus in the past. And one of the issues that that's unearthing is that the city has a lot of very old planning documents, 20 to 30 years old, which the law would say those are the controlling documents. But then what she is coming up against is either a history of practice that is in conflict with those, or decisions and a reality on the ground today that doesn't make sense in terms of those. So she is trying to work with Sam and myself and everyone else in finding a practical path forward to get the city's business done. Part of what's come to the surface is that clearly there needs to at some point be a comprehensive revision of a lot of those planning documents. As Haley said, dealing with the day-to-day issues right now takes priority. I know that is on her longer-term goals, and you should expect that to be coming to you at some point. But in the meantime, as I said, I think the city's focus needs to be and should be on trying to come up with practical solutions, even if perhaps technically they run afoul of some fairly outdated language. So she's working hard on that, and if at some point some conflict with a decision and some very old planning documents comes before you, I just wanted to lay that out as some of the context for that.
I appreciate that, and I appreciate you too, Haley, regarding what you're doing. We've had the talk, but I've got a shorter period of time than others do here, so. But in regards to the city of Coquille, keep up the good work. I appreciate that. I realize there's a lot to do. I realize that, but we have been, we have been basically not working in that direction, and now you're in charge, and I know that you've got a vision. That's good. I appreciate that. Thank you again.
Thank you. Thanks, James.
Thank you, Councilor Pinkston. Does anybody else have anything for Director? No? Okay, moving along, Sam Ba, your report, please.
Sure. Jennifer just emailed out my report again a couple of hours ago. We had some reports that not everybody got them. Those that are sitting in chamber, we hand delivered for you. If you do not have it, I have another copy down here. Most of these are on the weekly updates I send you guys. We're talking about the Rotary Foundation check to the ambulance, $20,000 that was presented to us at the beginning of this month. Talked about the Oregon Community Foundation grant. We are actually meeting the two finalists for our support services director position this coming Thursday, not next Thursday. Just listed the individuals that are running for mayor and council, and then starting probably next month, we are going to be broadcasting instead of on Facebook. We're going to be hopefully on YouTube as well as Facebook Live. I'm still trying to figure out how to get both of those running, but the city has now created a YouTube channel so that we can
put it up there for, people to see and interact with as well. If there's any other questions for me, I'd be happy to answer them.
Counselors? Okay, hearing none, I will move on now to the consent calendar. Jennifer, would you like to report on that?
Sure. So on the consent calendar is the minutes from August 17th, 2020. Hopefully everybody read through them, and if you have any changes, let me know. I can find mine.
Jennifer, I do see one error.
Okay.
The first part says that Mayor Simonetti was absent, but then it says that she appointed, people to some committees. I
Yep,
actually did
you
that.
appointed them, didn't
Yeah.
you? Okay, yes. Anything else? Matt? Anything else?
Counselor Rao, I can't hear you.
Nothing, it's nothing, no, I have no comment.
No comments? Okay. Okay, so I couldn't remember, do we need a motion to accept the consent calendar?
Yes.
Move to approve.
Okay, discussion? All in favor? Show of hands, please. Okay. Okay, motion carries. Okay, agenda number 8, Coquille SCBA for Fire Department. I don't seem to have a copy of that in my packet. Mr. Baugh?
This is actually going to be, presented by Fire Chief, Farron.
Does it
So
not
last year
require an
we-
action? Does it not require an action sheet?
It does. It's number 8 on the agenda.
I'm sorry,
There is an
I can't
action
hear
sheet
you.
number, there is an action sheet, action agenda number 8, there is an action sheet to it.
Okay, I do not have that in my packet. Does anyone else have it in their packet?
Yep.
Yeah, everybody does.
Okay, I do not have that in my packet. I'm sorry, say that again?
Looks like this.
Can't hear you.
Hugh is holding it up and says it looks like this.
That's where, yeah, you didn't get one, Ms. May.
No, no, I don't have a copy of it.
All right, so I'll go through the explanation. Last year, actually, Chief, you want to take that?
Yeah, last year we ordered 11 SCBA's with 20 bottles. The plan is to order 5 SCBA's and 10 bottles for the next 3 years as, so all appropriate apparatus are outfitted properly this year. Is the first year, or first order of 5 SCBA's and 10 bottles. The overall need is 25 SCBA's for the fire department. These are our self-contained breathing apparatus. Last year we went out for quotes. I did not have to do that this year because we already went with Draeger. It's just a continuation of the previous order. It's to outfit my next truck with the appropriate SCBA's that are supposed to be on it.
Chief, I asked the city manager before the meeting, if we could use our promotions fund, which is, you know, an innocuous little line item. We paid for some equipment in the budget, actually, for your department with that, which is sitting around 6 figures. And, you know, and that is separate from our transient lodging tax money. So that should be, they're separate funds, so it should be 100% discretionary. I know previous legal counsel in the past said it was. I would urge we pay for this request out of that, promotions fund so as not to strain other areas of the budget, because you have an immediate need. Your department has an immediate need. Our volunteers have an immediate need. We have an obligation to keep them safe and in good equipment. And so it would be my suggestion, A, that I hope we approve this, and B, that we pay for it out of the promotions fund so as not to strain other parts of the budget.
What was the dollar amount on that again?
So the dollar amount is $29,722.73.
I do not believe we have that much money in our promotionals account.
We have about triple that, I think, Kathy.
Okay, Sam, I asked you that a couple of weeks ago.
Yes, you asked me if we had $800,000 in there, and I told you no, we have about $87,000 in there.
Oh, 87,000. Okay, I thought it was 8,700. I'm sorry.
Chief?
I have
Yes,
no
sir.
problems with that. If somebody would like to make a motion.
Hold on just one second, Kathy. I'm asking the chief here.
Okay,
Chief,
could
what's
you
the life
speak in the
expectancy-
mic?
What's the life expectancy of these SCBA's, Chief?
So the bottles last 15 years. After 15 years, we have to replace them. The reason for splitting this up was to make the overall cost less each year, and also to be within the window of having this edition of the SCBA. If we bought 5 this year and five years from now, then we're going to have 2 different SCBA's. They're not going to combine with the mass that we have. That's why we have to do it in a short window of purchasing. As for like the turnouts, we can just continue to purchase 4 sets a year forever and hopefully never have enough that we're making that big one lump sum again.
Okay, you answered my question. Thank you very much.
Madam Mayor, I move we approve the funding request to be paid for out of the promotions fund.
Second.
Discussion. Before we go any further, I do have a question. On that action sheet, since I don't have a copy, how does that read, Mr. Baugh?
The action is council action, either passed, tabled, or failed. Staff recommendation is to make a motion to approve purchase of 5 CBAs and 10 bottles at $29,722.73.
Okay, do we have to amend that also to read to take the money out of the promotional funds instead of the general fund? We need to amend that sentence.
No, because there was it didn't say to pull it out of the fire fund in the first place, so staff recommendation is just to pay for it, and then we can determine where we want to pull the money out of.
Rob, is that correct? Or it seems to me like we should have a note on that, was where it's going to come from, so that we can secure that funds.
It's in the motion, Madam Mayor.
Okay,
Madam Mayor,
yes.
this is James. I'm wondering if Rob wants to weigh in on this. Normally, what I would expect, and of course it's the council's privilege, is if there are sufficient funds already designated for the fire department for this purchase, that the purchase would come out of those funds, and if later in the year there's a need to borrow funds or transfer funds in or use funds designated for something else in the budget, you would address that at that time. But Rob is more an expert in municipal finance and budgeting than I am.
Mr. Bodie?
Yeah, Madam Mayor, we can work with Chief Farron to identify where these items were budgeted and where the resources are, and certainly respect the council's request that this purchase be made out of the promotions fund. We can work that out and then report back to council.
Okay, counselors, we have a motion on the floor.
I have one question regarding this.
Yes.
So it says to purchase this for the next 3 years. This motion is just for this one purchase, correct? We're not doing this for the next 3 years. This is just for this one.
We're going to do one lump sum, right? We're going to purchase them all at the same time.
3 years.
So we need to amend that.
No, we do not. I think we might, just technology is not on our side here. Obviously, we can't commit a future council budgetarily to that kind of a situation legally. This was just for this fiscal year, for this budget and this one request.
staff recommendation is to make a motion to approve purchase of 5 SCBA's and 10 bottles at $29,722.73. Just this year. I will come back to you again next year for the following 5.
Okay, okay. So, let's do the vote. We have a motion. We had a second. Who seconded it? Kyle? We have a vote. All those,
Counselor Pinkston, second.
I'm sorry, Hugh, I couldn't hear you.
Counselor Pinkston, seconded.
Okay, so, all those in favor? Aye. Aye, okay, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, agenda number 9, debt service to bond review. And I'm sorry, I do not have that agenda in my packet either. So I do not know what it says. So, the night swinger, can I ask you to read that one, please?
Yeah. So to explain what's going on, I have Joey McKinley on Zoom here to explain this. But basically, what it breaks down to is he has been working with the Coquille School District to refinance some of their debt obligation and turn that into bonds. While he was here, he contacted me and said, "Hey, let's have a look at your current outstanding debt through USDA and DEQ, and wanted to see if there was any way they could save us as a city money over the next 20 years of the different debt service that we have going on." Our recommendation is to agree to let McKinley and Company to handle refinancing of our loans. But I'm going to let Joey kind of weigh in and tell us what we can kind of expect.
Thank you guys for having me. I very much appreciate it. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes, thank you.
Excellent. So you have several loans outstanding, and let me explain first what my job is. For the Coquille School District, and what I would propose to do for the city as well, is I act as a fiduciary on behalf of the city and on behalf of the school district. In other words, I have to do what is in your best interest. And in fact, the U.S. Congress wrote that into law in 2010. So I would act as your municipal advisor. I would examine your outstanding debt, and there are 2 that caught my attention, and I'll just apologize now because I've worked for your school district for 5 or 6 years, and I've never dropped in, and I've been in Coquille a lot, and so I tried to remedy that, and I looked at your audits, and you have 2 loans, a DEQ loan that originally was roughly 6.7 million. It's now about 4.7, and you have a USDA loan that is $2.2 million outstanding. Both of them are in excess of 3%. Now, there is not a single positive for COVID, except interest rates have come crashing down because of it. And right now, we're in a 2.5% market for this sort of debt. And so there's a lot of steps required, and my job is to, first of all, investigate everything. I have to meet with USDA, seek their permission to refinance this, and then we would take your bonds and we would put them out as a competitive bid. So I'm not allowed by law to actually buy your bonds, which before 2010, I would have come in and said, "Hey, let me buy your bonds. I can get these done and save you a lot of money." So what I do is I structure this, I put this out for public bid. If we get savings, great. If we don't get savings, then we don't do it, and there's no cost. My job is also to go out and find and negotiate with the professionals. One would be the bond attorney, to get the best rates and the best expenses, because every dollar we save in putting this together is a dollar that goes back in your pocket. So I did a I did an initial review of those two loans, and there's one that is close. And the DEQ loan, it looked like there was a present value savings of roughly $352,000. Well, what that means, present value, is it's what are the savings in today's dollars. 352,000 over a 30-year period is great, but it's not as impressive as 352,000 today. Well, the savings are in fact $352,000 discounted back to today's dollars. And the USDA loan, there's roughly $285,000 in today's savings and present value savings. Now, most bond attorneys will say don't proceed unless you have a minimum of 3% savings. Well, the DEQ were at more than double that. We're at 7% savings, and USDA, we're at 12% savings. Can this all get done? Well, this is going to be at a minimum of 60-day process, and the market can change a great deal in 60 days, as we've seen. And so my job is to go and get us in a position to take advantage of this, to put them out for bid, and then if in fact the savings are there, then we bring it before the council again. You would accept, you would have final numbers, you would accept the bids, the winning bidder, and we would proceed with the closing. And so there's really, there are a few times in your life where you're picking up money. This is one of them. At least it's an opportunity to pick up money. And so my job as municipal advisor would be to work for you to maintain and monitor your debt and move it forward.
Madam Mayor, could I ask a question?
Absolutely.
Yeah, Mr. McCliney, my name's Rob Moody. I'm the consultant working with the city in terms of financial support. You mentioned that you would do a competitive bid offering. I'm just curious why the competitive bid versus maybe considering a negotiated offering, given the size of the city and their lack of experience in the market.
What I would like to do, that's a great question. Okay, so for your council's edification, and Rob, obviously you know this, a competitive bid is when I put this out to the general market and I get 6 or 7, I hope 6 or 7 bids. If I get 2, I'm happy with 2. They're good bids. A negotiated underwriting is when I talk to several underwriters and then I find one that looks more competitive and then I negotiate with them. In Oregon, it is far more common to do negotiated underwritings. And if this is a non-rated issue, then in fact, we might do a negotiated underwriting. But what I would propose to do is I want to meet with bond insurers, and they insure both your principal and interest. And that would take your debt from probably a triple B or an A- to a double A. It would also drive your interest costs down. And so if all of a sudden we have a double A rated bond and we go out to the market, it becomes a commodity. Everybody knows what a double A rated bond is, and so everybody can bid on it, even people that are outside the state of Oregon. And so ideally, that's what I would do. If the insurers come back and say, boy, we're not going to do this, then we in fact will meet with a few underwriters and negotiate this to get the best deal possible.
Thank you.
Counselors?
Madam Mayor, this is James. May I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
Mr. McCliney, I'm just curious, what bond counsel do you typically work with?
In your state, I'll work with any of them, but the one, Dawkins is the most expensive in the state, and they're excellent. There is, oh darn it, I've forgotten their name, but there's another one that I've done with the school district a couple of times. I think it's Mesereau. They're dynamite. They've been around forever, and they're more reasonable. And so I will talk to both of them and negotiate with both of them. And then when they give me their best rate, I'll push back and try to get a better rate.
Thank you. There's two right answers and you got both of them. I appreciate it.
Oh, thanks.
Can you give us like an estimate of the fees that would be involved to redo
Yeah,
this?
if I was, so total fees, first of all, those savings I was talking about are after all expenses. But the total fees on this, if I were to guess, I think I used probably a 3.5% total fees for that. That's the underwriting fee, that's bond counsel fee, that's our fee. So everything, and I will provide a line item. If you're talking specifically about my fees, it's typically normally less than 1% of the bonds issued. And on both of these, it looks like it would be right at 1 or just under 1%.
And Madam Mayor, that's fairly common.
I do have one other question. If we convert these loans into bonds, right? And we're talking about negotiating, properties out there at the GP site. If we used our urban renewal money to bond again, would these bonds interfere with that bond?
They should not.
So they wouldn't keep us from obtaining a bond if we elected to go that route, like say with a Marriott hotel or something. I mean, we're just dreaming here.
No, no, absolutely. They would not affect that at all.
Okay, thank you. Counselors? To your court.
I move we direct staff to proceed.
I would second that. Okay, Dave Chappelle seconds. Is that correct? Yeah. Okay, perfect. Okay. Okay, so discussion? Okay, hearing none, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you guys very much. I appreciate it. I hope to meet you in person. Zoom is no fun. I'd prefer to be on the road. Thank you.
I'll be back in chambers. Thank you. Okay, agenda number 10, contract amendment with Marina and Company. Rob Moody, do you want to report on this?
Yes, Madam Mayor, thank you. So you've got a written staff report before you. Rather than read that to you and go through it with you, I guess I wanted to take just a slightly different approach to summarize where we're at. So the short story is our firm was engaged to perform some specific tasks and provide some operational support. In doing that, coming in the door, we identified a number of causal issues that were affecting operations and the performance of those tasks. For example, we identified a number of transactions that had not been recorded, some vendor payments that hadn't been made, and some errors in the records dating back to November. So the reason I bring that up is it's like a set of dominoes, and things have to happen in a certain order. One thing that you either love or you hate about accounting is it's pretty linear, and so things have to happen in a order. So what we've done is we've set a path to correct those issues, and we've been working through those dominoes. We've been recording those entries, we've been catching up on those payments, and we've been adjusting for those errors. All of this has taken a great deal more time and effort than we originally anticipated, and that's, I'll just own that. As we were looking at things, we didn't anticipate some of this. Current staff in the department hasn't necessarily had the bandwidth to be involved at the level that we had hoped. They've got jobs to do, and they're doing them, day-to-day operational stuff, and we've got a fairly significant kind of hill to get over to get caught up with not having anybody on board since November. They have been able to provide us information on request. The staff has been incredibly responsive, all three of them. I appreciate very much the work that Jennifer and Kimberly and Dane have put into helping us get some of this stuff caught up. But we've sort of had to take I have a client who talks about giving somebody a fish versus teaching them to fish. We originally went into this hoping to teach people to fish, but we've had to just hand out some fish at this point. We have had some wins. We have evaluated the finance department's strengths and weaknesses. Roles and responsibilities have been updated. We've updated position descriptions for all the members of the finance department. The 2019 audit is now with the audit firm. We completed the last piece of what they had requested, the capital assets. So they've got it. I got an email from the audit firm today asking a couple of clarifying questions that we answered. We've been able to provide financial statements to the council now for a couple of consecutive months. Granted, it may not be exactly what it is you were looking for, but it's a step. And we believe that we're trying to improve those communications of financial information, both to staff, to the departments, and to the council. We've talked about the support services director recruiting. We've strengthened, working with the department, we believe we've strengthened some of those internal controls in terms of implementing some reviews and approvals and separating duties and bringing in some best practices. Moving towards that transition of payroll in-house, that will generate some savings in terms of the fees that we're currently paying to ADP. I can't put a number on that for you right at this moment. I'm not exactly sure what that number is. There are some continuing priorities, and apparently maybe a bond issue. But there's still some work to be done in a lot of these areas. So there's still some entries, reconciliations, adjustments that need to be made. That payroll transition is really going to begin next month. We've got Springbrook training and operations scheduled in the first week of October. The 2020 audit likely happen in October or November. We've had some sort of initial conversations with the audit firm and talking about, how to get that started. The software implementation with Springbrook, we're looking at that probably in the spring, the upgrade, spring to summer. The team dynamic is better. It's still, we'll still continue to work on that. And then we've got some grants administration and management work yet to do. Haley's been incredibly patient with me and the team in terms of, she needs some support on some of these grants and getting things organized and having the information laid out in a way that she can use it more easily. So the proposals in front of you, I recognize that this is a fairly steep ask. But I think in order to get the city to where you want to be and doing it in the way that I believe is most efficient and most effective, that's what I put before you tonight. So I'd be happy to answer questions.
So Mr. Moody, our original contract with you had a cap of 30,000, is that correct? If I recall correctly?
That's correct. Our original proposal was something more than that. And when the board considered it that evening, they approved a contract not to exceed $30,000 without further consideration and approval by the council.
And is our payroll now, was the 2019 W-2s corrected and everybody's PERS and deductions were all corrected?
We are current with our PERS contributions through July, right?
Through the end of July, yes.
Okay.
August is being entered.
Great. In terms of the 2019 W-2s, I am not sure. I'd have to look into that, Madam Mayor.
Okay. Because I know several people had complained that they were incorrect. And I was just wondering where we stood on that.
Okay.
The
I
counselors?
apologize. I don't know.
It's okay.
Mr. Moody, can you hear me?
Just
Yes.
barely.
All right, Mr. Moody, I just wanted to say again that I appreciate the work you've done. And this was, if you recall, sort of the concern I was worried about back in May when I voted against the initial contract.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to vote against this again, but not as a criticism of your work. You have done a solid job. It's just a shame that the department had to get into the condition it was due to the policy that the council pursued, or the majority of the council. That said, that's all I'll say about it, and I want to thank you for your work and your dedication.
Thank you, sir.
So counselors, do we want to extend this contract with the additional expenses? I think Mr. Moody has done a wonderful job for us. There was a lot to be corrected. And I think we're halfway through it. I don't think we should bail out now. I think we should let them continue. This is just my personal opinion.
This is Councilor Chappelle. I'm not at all for this increase at all. I really do thank you for the work that you've done. You've done an outrageous amount of work, but I do feel that I'm just not. I can't vote for this increase.
So, Mr. Baugh, if we do not extend this contract, where is this going to leave us?
If we don't extend this contract, hopefully our support services director can be online here in the next few weeks and pick up the pieces, but I feel like we would backslide quite a bit if we don't pick up this contract.
That's what I'm feeling also.
Yes, sir.
Excuse me.
I'm sorry, I can't hear who's talking.
This Dave, Councilor Chappelle.
Yes.
Sam, do we have people in-house that can that can continue with this?
Not at this point. There are still some things that we are not able to fully do, such as bank reconciliations and some of the other financial things that they've been helping us through. Double checking of journal entries, that kind of stuff.
Mr. Moody,
I agree.
I'm sorry.
That is quite a bit, yes. Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Moody, if we extend this, would everything be complete and your services would be over by the end of October?
That's the anticipation, yes.
Kathy, could I say something?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, and we're talking 48,000 on top of the initial 30,000. We're looking at $78,000, which is pretty close to what a finance director's salary would be.
Right. But when he's done, it'll be ready to turn over to the new manager that comes into that position.
I understand that, but I just don't feel I just don't feel right in voting for that $48,000.
So then we've just wasted the previous 30,000.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, who's speaking?
it's Rob.
Oh, yes, okay, sorry.
That's okay. So kind of the breakdown on that is the June and July billings were equivalent to, basically got us up to that $30,000. Our August billing to the city was 17,000, and we're anticipating about 13 to 15,000 for for September. So we've incurred that, and I recognize that's on us for continuing to work without coming back to the council for pre-authorization beyond that $30,000. So I appreciate that, but we've invested about just under $30,000 to date, beyond that $30,000. I just, for informational purposes about kind of where things are at.
This is Councilor Pinkston. I believe that you've done a fairly good job for us. I believed also when we got started that 30,000 would be low. In regards to that, between a rock and a hard place, I find ourselves now, and I find ourselves even a worse between a rock and a hard place if we say no to this proposal. Saying all that, I'm not really excited about it either. I feel that we should make a decision regarding the ongoing purpose of why we're here, is to make a decision regarding the future of our financial department. If we stop now, I think we're deeper problem that we had before. I make a motion that we accept the proposal, not because I'm really excited about that, but I think it's the right thing to do for Coquille, in the right direction to go to finish this up and keep moving.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
I'm totally in agreement with Councilor Pinkston. I would second that motion.
Okay, so Ann, I have a second and I have a motion on the floor then. Sorry, discussion, more discussion?
Yes, Mr. Moody, this is Councilor Wirebaugh. I'm seeing there's an outstanding total of 17,000. Is that currently on top of that 48,000 that the city of Coquille is already responsible for? So is that what I'm understanding? Is the 18 and 13,000 is going to be a future of what we're already expecting, but the 17,000 we're already needing to pay as a city? Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, say aye. And we might want to go by name this time so we can, since our system is breaking up. Councilor Chappelle, how will you vote?
Nay.
Councilor Pinkston?
Yes.
Councilor Niswonger?
Nay.
Councilor Rao?
Nay.
Let's see, Councilor Parker?
Yes.
Councilor Wirebaugh?
Nay.
And I'll vote yes. Let's see, what do we have? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the motion does not pass. Okay, we'll move on then to, let's see, agenda number 11. Agent of record.
As we were going through all of our stuff with Pacific Properties, we found that they had a one-year contract that was signed in August of last year. I'm coming to the council to say, would we like to extend the contract for Pacific Property to be the agent of record for our real estate, or extend an RFP out to get additional bids? I will tell you, we currently do have the carousel lot that is currently in process of being purchased. It is actually at the title company right now. Pacific Properties had brought that to us. But either way, it's coming out and saying, do we want to either re-sign them up or go out for an additional bid.
Madam Mayor, I had a question for, our city manager. On things like this, I have great respect for, you know, the city manager's preference, because it's really about who you're dealing with, and we have a very good percentage with our existing contract. I'm assuming they want to maintain the current percentage?
That is correct.
What would, I mean, I'm all for, RFPs if you want to go out for an RFP, and I'm all for supporting staying pat if you want to stand pat. What do you think?
With my open schedule and time frame, I would prefer to keep it as is. I honestly do not have time to put together an RFP and go out and get all the bids and then go through the entire process of that.
Then, I move we extend the contract. Is there a length we want to extend it for?
We can come up with a length if you would like.
Okay, well then I'll just move we authorize you to renegotiate a new contract with them, and I'm sure we can approve that at a later date. But that's my motion, to allow you to negotiate a new contract.
Hey, Councilor Rao, I have some concerns about that. Pacific Properties does not have, they are not registered to sell property in the city of Coquille. His license is for Coos Bay, Bandon, and I think one other city. But there is no registration for Coquille.
I believe they are registered to the city of Coquille. I believe they had produced that documentation for us.
You did question it before?
Yes, I've asked them, and they have produced the documentation saying they are registered to sell property in the city of Coquille.
Okay. I would like to check on that, please. Or have you check on it if you would, please.
I will check on that.
Okay. So I have no problems with it if they are registered, I have no problems with it. Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to move forward with Pacific Properties. Do we have a second?
I second Councilor. Yes.
Okay.
Councilor Chappelle, I second Councilor Rao's motion.
Okay, and discussion, any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor, please raise your hands. Okay, motion carries. Agenda item 12, the adoption of council rules. I have a question on this. Oh,
yes.
I have a question on this. It says in our city charter that the council rules are to be voted on in every odd year. And we are 3 months out from a new council coming in. And I'm kind of curious, or I feel that maybe we should involve the incoming council before we vote on this, since they're going to have to vote on it in 2021 anyway.
You are absolutely correct, and we can have the new council vote on that in January. The big push that we have had this entire year, since January of this year, is that as a council, you wanted council rules in place. And I and my staff have worked hard to make sure that we have met every need and obligation you wanted in the council rules. And so, I mean, if it is up to you if you want to table this and not vote on it till January, but I do feel like we have put enough time and effort into fulfilling your request to put this together.
Madam Mayor, this is
Yes.
Councilor Niswonger. I agree with our city manager. I feel that we should vote on these and put them in place, and the new council can vote again in January.
Okay.
Madam
All right.
Mayor, this is James.
Yes.
Uh,
Yes,
I don't
James.
have the exact wording of the charter in front of me, but I believe it does say that the council shall approve or adopt rules for its proceedings. I think there's merit to having rules in place even for the remaining few months of this council. I have said before, I think the greatest value of rules actually is not in having them, but in the discussion that leads up to them. And so reviewing the rules and making any changes will be an excellent exercise for the incoming council after the first of the year. But I don't think that diminishes the importance or the value to this council of having some rules in place over the next few months, should the need arise, or any disputes that might be resolved more easily. Thank you.
Okay, so do we have a motion on the floor? Somebody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the council rules and adopt resolution 06-2020.
I second that.
Okay, discussion? Okay, all those in favor? 2, 3, 4, 5, okay. Motion carries. Public participation. Sam, do you have anything from Facebook?
Unfortunately, I have lost my Facebook feed. Our one phone died and the other one I can't connect to. So if there are questions out there, I apologize.
So if there are any questions, they can contact you and you'll be able to respond.
Yes, and in the future, we would actually ask for public participation to be emailed beforehand to either myself or Jennifer, if you have those available beforehand.
Okay, does anyone else have anything good of the order?
Sam,
I'm sorry, Matt.
oh, forgive me, I forgot my microphone doesn't work, so.
That's okay,
I
you're
was
gonna get your exercise tonight.
Absolutely. I was gonna say to Sam, and anybody watching on Facebook Live, of course, we're back in session. We're also allowing the public back in. We've got the seats socially distanced. We're legally allowed to have 25 people in here, Sam said. And so, it'd be great to have folks come on down and talk to us in person again as well. So please be patient with the technology, and our staff's working hard, but we'd love to see folks down here in person again soon. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councilor Rao. Okay, so is there anything else for the good of the order tonight? Okay, hearing none, I adjourn this meeting at 8:35. And we'll now open the urban renewal. Councilor Niswonger?
I'll call the meeting to order for the urban renewal at 8:35. First on the agenda is approval of the minutes from August 17th.
I approve those minutes. I make a motion, we approve it. I make a motion, we approve it.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We've got Judy's new image, and I think she was outside in her car and was gonna come in and talk to us.
I think that's where Jennifer ran off to, is to go find her. So if we can hold on for just a second, I will go double check that. They are on their way in. They'll be here in just a second.
Hi. Thank you for coming in. Yeah. So, I think we've all had a chance to read your letter. I'm really sorry that all happened to you. That's horrible. That is just horrible. It's a real story. It happened. So, I'm still a little bit confused. You were approved in 2018.
In the fall of 2018 for, it was like 19,700 or real close to 20.
And we were gonna pay half of that,
Half of it.
correct?
Yep.
Okay. So now you're asking for,
Less than that. I'd like to get what I put
I'm
in.
sorry, could she speak in the mic? We can't hear her.
Can you speak directly into that mic that's in front of you? We're
Oh,
having
okay.
some problems with the,
is your red
Got it.
light on?
Is it on?
Okay.
Perfect. Can you
We've
hear me
got
now?
Zoom people, so
Yeah,
they're
that's
having a
much
hard
better.
time hearing.
How about now?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, perfect. So what I'm asking for is, I originally put down 8,000 to Eric Bowler, and I paid 7,500 to the second contractor, which adds up to less than the original amount. So I'd like to combine the two, if I could, and redeem the half, the 50% I was approved for. Does that make sense?
So the 7,500 that you're wanting to add into that, was there any work done?
Absolutely. They repaired the original work, the work that the original contractor did, and finished what he had started. So there was fascia that needed to be replaced, and there were some holes in the building that needed to be repaired, or a little minor rot issues. And that was what the original contractor was going to start doing upon, it was permitting weather, and it started in the fall. So I put a certain amount down. He picked up the materials, and I have the receipts for all of that, from him. And then he got the materials to the building. We put the paint at the building and never got started. He didn't do anything, everything just kept falling apart for him, and then eventually he just didn't come back. So this contractor used what materials were there, and then picked up more materials pro bono and just did the work. And he just charged me $7,500 for all of it.
From reading the story there, you have been through a lot, and I feel for you. I was gonna ask a question that one of the counselors asked before the meeting, which is, why didn't you pursue litigation against the original contractor to recoup the money?
I couldn't find him. He moved. And then just to retain an attorney and to take him to small claims would have cost more than what I had.
Now, you've been through the application process before, and again, I'm not picking on you here, but you
Right.
know that once you start a project, traditionally, we don't fund it after the fact. Now, we've denied numerous applications under this pretense in the past. Yours is a little bit different, though, because you have engaged through the process before. So I asked the attorney, I said, does this set a precedent where people could claim, disparate treatment? I do have a concern about that, but your situation is a little bit different. But why didn't you come to us before you incurred this expense the second time, so we could approve it before the fact?
To be completely honest with you, is I had given up. I wasn't even going to go forward with it. I was like, forget about it. I lost the money, let it go, walk away from it. And I had just gotten so discouraged because this was my first attempt at trying anything as a new business person. I didn't know where to go or what to do. I go to work Monday through Saturday from 6 in the morning until 7 or 8 o'clock at night. I'm exhausted. I didn't even want to think about it. I didn't want to chase him down. I didn't want to get an attorney. We have attorneys come into that salon all the time, and they said, it's going to cost you so much more just for a retainer, Michaelin. You're better off letting go and having a bad lesson learned.
Forgive me for interrupting, but
Sure.
the point I wanted clarification on was that you'd been through the application process before, and the application's very clear that we don't approve projects that happen before we fund them. And so when you got the second contractor who came to you with and seems to have done very admirable work, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Your building looks great.
Thank you.
But knowing that, why didn't you wait a little bit longer and come to us before the work started so we could approve it in a way that would be in line with our traditional way of operating?
I understand exactly what you're saying. When he came to me, he was on a limited time. He said, I could get it done in 4 days. You need to tell me right now if you want to do it or not. And I had the exact amount in my account that I had saved up. And with all this COVID and being shut down, I didn't know what I was going to do or even if this was possible. It wasn't for one of your council members saying, yeah, you need to go in there and talk to them and let them know the circumstances and situation. And that's why I'm here doing this.
Oh, no, and I feel for you. You got to understand, I've got to look at this from a way that isn't about how tough a situation you had. It's a fact that...
Matt, you're fading out.
I'm concerned about a situation where contractors can essentially lean on potential URA applicants, do the work without following the bid process in the future. Not you, but other people, and then come for retroactive funding from us.
Sure, I understand. I'm not a contractor, so I wouldn't have known.
Oh, no,
anything like
I
that.
understand, and your situation is very unique, and this is a real tough vote for me. I'm probably gonna come down as a no, but I wanted you to understand why. Your work is beautiful, your business has a stellar reputation, you're a compliment to the community. I just wanted you to know, my reasoning. And I appreciate your forthrightness and what you're trying to do. I do appreciate it, so thank you.
Mhm.
I personally don't see there's.
I'm sorry, Julie, I can't hear you. Can't hear you.
I feel that she got the work done. It was done, she paid for it. So I feel that at least on the first, we should reimburse her at least what the original first bid was in 2018. Because she did what she said she was gonna do.
Counselor Neiswanger, may I just add a comment? Can you hear me?
This is Counselor.
Yes, I can hear you, Ann.
Okay, so my thought is, if in fact the second contractor used the materials that were on the first bid, then would that not be a continuation of her application process? I mean, when,
You could look at it.
that's, that's the way I see it. And it's oftentimes that when you're doing a project like this, that you're going to have more than one contractor that has a specific function that they handle.
Very valid points. James, could we make a motion unique to the circumstances, or almost sort of like Bush v. Gore in court precedent? No precedent is set, but we fund this project, understanding the unique situation it's in.
First, I would say the discussion you're having creates the record of your consideration in this. Second, I think it's perfectly legitimate to look at this as previously you approved this project with funding up to 50% of the original bid amount. The project has been completed. The total amount spent was a little less than that. So I think this could be characterized simply as fulfilling a previous decision to fund this project rather than without regard to the specific means by which it was carried out. But as I said, whatever you all say is going to create the record here. So you have discussed the specific situation, and if a motion is made and seconded, if any of you want to explain your vote as limited or influenced by the specific circumstances here, that'll just further enhance the record.
Well, I've been persuaded. For the people who say I'm unshakable, it's a solid argument, and now that you outlined your legal reasoning, I feel comfortable proceeding, and so I won't want to hold you up with any delay. Just to clarify, though, we're just funding the original request. That's what the motion would be. So we'd be closing the books on the original work. Are you talking about the original bid? The original funding that the council or the URA board approved back in 2018. We've just been fulfilling that.
And I included the minutes in there.
I'm sorry, we can't hear you. Guys are not talking into the mics.
I included the minutes in that URA packet so you could see exactly what you guys had approved November 2018.
So we're talking about approving the original amount, the first one that you submitted? Is that correct? Okay.
$9,850.
Okay, thank you for repeating that.
Counselor Neiswanger, I'm not clear. The materials that were purchased under the first contractor were used by the second contractor, so would we not be funding the entire project since it is less than the original approved amount?
So
That's-
in 2018, when she was here, her bids were $19,700. URA was going to do 50%, which is $9,850. That's what we approved in 2018.
Okay.
The work has been done on her building.
Counselor Rao, I can't hear you.
We just need a motion.
So what
Counselor-
are we looking at reimbursing her for this? Is that what we're looking at doing?
Yes, from the original,
$9,800
yes,
and
$50.
$50. I make a motion that we reimburse, what was your name? I'm sorry, what was your name again?
Michael and Beam.
That we reimburse Michael and Beam for $9,850 for the original work of November 18 on Judy's new image.
And I would second that.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
One thing before we, can I say one thing?
Yes, I don't know, I can't hear you. We can't hear you.
This whole issue is it takes a whole new platform, a whole new way of looking at this. This is very, very unique. And this is not like starting a job and then funding it afterward. This is very, very unique. I am sorry for what you went through. That is totally wrong. Okay.
Thank
And
you.
that is the reason why I am voting the way I'm voting. So, Julie, go ahead.
Okay. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So if you could get your contractor to sign off that you have paid him in full, and then just bring your paperwork to the city, and then they will, get you a check on their next check run.
Perfect. Thank you guys very much.
You're welcome.
And I was very excited in your letter to see that you're growing. That's great.
I am. Good. Thank you.
Do we have any Facebook, questions for
You know
URA?
what? We had one from Suzanne Swan, for Chief. and-
Can't hear you.
Suzanne Swan had a question for Chief just about the canine. She just wanted to know if we had, picked the dog yet. Sorry, this is not URA, this is regular meeting, but I was out there getting the URA person, so. Anyway, she just had a question with Chief about the canine. Okay, no, we have not picked the canine yet. That's it.
That's it? Is there anything else
I
for the
missed
good of
that
the
in the
order?
regular meeting.
Kathy, good luck on your surgery.
Well, it's October the 1st now. So a week from Thursday.
Where's it at?
It's at Peace Harbor here in Florence.
I can't hear you, Mayor. What was
I'm
that?
sorry, it's at Peace Harbor in Florence, Oregon.
Sorry.
Our system just died.
Meeting adjourned at 8:50.
Meeting adjourned.